You're watching CBS 5 News. Straightforward reporting, no spin, telling it like it is.
You know, the rules for getting hit with a DUI while drinking in Arizona are pretty clear. The state has a zero tolerance policy. But what about using medical marijuana? If it's legal for you to smoke, then at what point are you considered under the influence? CBS 5's Elizabeth Irwin discovers it's not very clear.
Try to keep my mobility up.
This is Morgan. He's asked that we not use his last name, but he wanted to tell you his story. Morgan got his medical marijuana card about a year ago. He says he uses pot to help with the pain from an old shoulder injury.
It's an AC separation, and basically my shoulder wants to just come apart whenever there's any high impact, any stress.
So when he and his family went tubing down the Salt River last Memorial Day, he says he wanted to medicate beforehand to curb any pain later.
So I just tried to make sure that I was being proactive on stopping that.
Speaking of stopping, Morgan was stopped in a DUI checkpoint leaving the river that day. Morgan says it had been several hours since he smoked.
And I was stopped and asked if I had been drinking or smoking, and I had provided my medical marijuana card, just to be upfront and honest.
And unfortunately, honesty wasn't the best policy here because the officer then arrested him for DUI.
Craig Rosenstein is Morgan's attorney. He says that Morgan was charged isn't necessarily the worst part.
The real concern is that the prosecutor's office filed a motion with the court that's precluding him from introducing as evidence that his medical marijuana card, that he rightfully and lawfully is allowed to consume marijuana.
See this medical marijuana card? A judge has said no jury will even know it exists, meaning when Morgan goes to trial, he looks more like your typical pothead than a card-carrying medical marijuana user.
For us in the city of Mesa, the most important thing on every case is to look at the facts of each case.
City of Mesa prosecutor John Eelson wouldn't talk with us about the specifics of this case, but he did agree to sit down and spell out how the state's medical marijuana statute is impacting DUI cases in Mesa.
We have seen, since the medical marijuana statute passed, an increase in the city of Mesa in the number of drivers who are driving while impaired on marijuana.
And Eelson says that's the key word here, impaired. Right now, our state doesn't have a set legal limit of THC, that's the main component in pot, that can be in your system when you're driving. And since the metabolite stays in your system for a while after you smoke, Eelson says his office can't rely on just a blood test to figure out if someone's impaired.
Just because you have a medical marijuana card doesn't entitle you to drive while impaired.
But shouldn't the jury have the right to know all of the information in the case?
But when you're talking about whether or not someone's impaired to the slightest degree, it doesn't matter if they have a prescription or, in this case, a medical marijuana card. The issue is are they impaired? Which
means until our state sticks a number on what impairment means, city prosecutors across Arizona will have to rely on police officers' judgment.
If you're smoking marijuana and the evidence shows in a court of law that you're impaired, you will be held accountable.
Elizabeth Irwin, CBS 5 News.